Chapter 17. Watchers and Hunters. Rand went to the common room to drown out his thoughts, listening to Tom's performance of the Great Hunt of the Horn. He was telling them about the most famous hunter, Rogosh Eagle-Eye, famed at court and feared in Shire Ghoul, of how the Dark One marked golden-haired Blythe of Matuchin as his own, but she denied him. Mat and Perrin are there too, and Rand joined them. They listened to the tales of the fall of Aleth Loriol, Guidle Cain's sword, and the last ride of Buad of Albine. Tom eventually switched to songs that could be danced to, like The Wind That Shakes the Willow. The boys decided to join in, and while Rand danced with a maid, he noticed a man with a huge facial scar scowling at him. 4 partners later, he's dancing with Nynaeve, who made him nervous, and with the man staring, Rand stumbled. She told him, "I thought you were a better dancer." To his shock, his next partner was Moraine, who glided while he almost fell twice, and she smiled at him sympathetically. Next was Egwene, and since they still hadn't spoken properly, they only stared at each other until the song ended. Sitting down, he's joined by Perrin, and they discussed the fact that the Wisdom and Aes Sedai were dancing. They wonder what the women's circle would say if they saw the Wisdom dancing. She never does back home, and maybe that's why. She's relaxed away from them. Rand was still aware of the man glaring at him and wondered why. He ate and danced some more until midnight. Moraine left for bed with Egwene hurrying after. Nynaeve stayed for one more dance, then followed the women. Tom started packing up as Lan collected the boys for bed, saying they have an early start. Mat mentioned a man was staring at him and wondered if he was a dark friend. Rand and Perrin echo him, describing the scar. Lan tells them that Master Fitch believes him to be a White Cloak spy. On their way to the rooms, the boys learn that Nynaeve is sharing a room with Egwene and the Aes Sedai. Perrin whistled while Mat exclaimed, "Blood and ashes! I wouldn't be in Egwene's shoes for all the gold in Camelin." Rand said he's going to the kitchen for a warm milk before bed, and Lan warned, "Something feels wrong tonight. Don't wander far, and remember, we leave first thing in the morning, whether you're awake enough to ride, and if not, you be tied to your saddle." Drink in hand, Rand left the kitchen to find a dull black figure approaching. As it lowered its hood, it revealed a pasty white, eyeless face with oily black hair. Rand choked on his milk as it whispered, "You are one of them, boy." Dropping his mug, Rand backed away, trying not to freeze, and found his throat unable to call out for aid. The Fade glided closer, thin, bloodless lips smiling, and asked, "Where are the others? I know they are here. Speak, boy, and I will let you live." A black sword appeared in the Fade's hand as the light in the hall dimmed. Snarling, it told Rand, "You belong to the Great Lord of the Dark. You are his." Spinning, it darted back into the shadows, disappearing as Lan leapt down the stairs, sword in hand. Gasping, Rand told him there was a Fade, pointing down the hall. Lan nodded, saying, "Yes, it's fading now. No time to pursue it." "We're leaving now," she purred her. The others started appearing, bundles in hand, as Rand protested leaving so suddenly. Impatiently, Lan asked, "You want to wait for the half-man to come back? To return with another half-dozen of them? It knows where we are now." Tom said he'll stay with them. It's well known he arrived with them, and tomorrow may be a bad day to be their friend. Lan replied, "You can ride with us, or ride to Shire Ghoul, Gleeman." Moraine appeared with the other women, and Master Fitch trying to warn him. "You must take this seriously. You may have trouble in the morning. Dark friends, perhaps, may be worse. When it comes, make it clear we are gone, and don't resist in any way. They shouldn't bother you then. It's just us they're after." Master Fitch was jovial, telling her he'll give no information, and his lads will see off any trouble. He left to make preparations for their departure, and Moraine sighed about him being so stubborn. Mat asked, "Do you think Trollocs may come here hunting for us?" Moraine snapped, "Trollocs? Of course not. There are other things to fear, the least not being how we were found. The Fate can't believe we'll remain here, but Master Fitch takes dark friends too lightly, believing them wretches who hide in the dark, when in reality they're found everywhere, in all walks of life and in authority. The murderer may send them to learn our plans." As they head to the stable yard, Rand asked Nynaeve if she's joining them, thinking that Min was right. Quietly, she asked if there really was a Fade. Rand confirmed it, surprising himself at how calm he sounded about it, telling her it had him cornered in the hall until Lan came. Nynaeve replied, "Perhaps there is something after you. But I came to see you all safely back home, and I won't leave until it's done. I will not leave you alone with her sort." As they mounted, Rand saw that Egwene looked terrified, eyes wide with fear. He thought to himself, "At least she doesn't think it's an adventure any more." He instantly felt ashamed of himself. She was in danger because of him. Rand went over her to apologize. "Egwene, I'm sorry. I can't seem to think straight any more." And in response she clutched his hand. Mounted and ready, Rand looked to the stableman, Much, who'd had a bad attitude since they arrived. He glared at them, and Rand knew there was one person who'd happily give up any information about them. They rode through the sleeping town in a close-knit group until they reached the Camelin Gate. A watchman appeared, confused that they wanted to leave in the night. Moraine pointed out that the governor's orders don't prohibit leaving the city at night, only entering. He conceded this, but points out that there must be wolves outside as livestock is being slaughtered. Lan gave him a bribe, and the watchman called out to his men to open the gate. When the gate was barely a quarter open, a voice called out, "What's this? Aren't the gates ordered closed until sunrise?" 5 white cloaks rode up, and recognizing Bornhold's voice, Rand hunched in his saddle not to be seen. The watchman told them it's none of their business. The children have no authority here. Bornhold proclaimed, "The children of the light hold sway wherever men walk in the light. Only where the shadow of the Dark One reigns are the children denied. Yes?" He looked over their group, seeming weary of Lan. Bornhold asked, "What kind of people wish to leave at night in times like these, with wolves and a creature of the Dark One flying around?" Rand recognized the description of a Drakkar, and wasn't surprised it was here. Lan told them that they're travellers of no interest, but Bornhold persisted. Lan shook his head and said, "Are you after more trouble with the governor? He's already limited your numbers in town and has you followed. What will he do if he discovers you harassing honest citizens?" Lan turned to the watchman and asked why they'd stopped opening the gate. Bornhold claimed that the governor doesn't know what happens under his nose, but they do. They smell the evil and root it out. Finally he noticed Rand and exclaimed that he'd saved the watchman from disaster. They were about to allow dark friends to escape from the light. They should be reported to the governor for failing in their duty, and maybe given to the questioners. He will take this group instead to the camp to be questioned. Moraine's voice seemed to come from every direction as she walked toward them, darkness wreathing her. "You will take me to your camp, White Cloak? You will question me? You will bar my way?" She took another step, and Rand gasped as she grew in size. "Aes Sedai!" Bornhold shouted, and all 5 white cloaks drew their swords. He screamed, "Die!" and they charged at Moraine. Bornhold slashed, only to be blocked by her staff. Sparks sprayed out, and all 5 men flew backwards in a heap. Bornhold's sword was bent, almost melted in two. "You dare attack me!" Moraine shouted, growing to the size of the wall, shadows whirling around her. Lan grabbed Aldiab's reins and ushered the others through the gate. For a moment Rand was frozen and stared up at Moraine, who was now as big as the watchtowers. The white cloaks cowered as she stared at them with huge eyes shining with anger and impatience. Rand followed the others, and they all reined in about 50 foot from the wall. They turned to watch and wait for Moraine, and she stepped over the wall as the watchman closed the gates, ignoring the shouts of the white cloaks to keep it open. Moraine was now normal-sized again as she joined them, and when Egwene pointed out how big she was, the Aes Sedai claimed, "The mind plays tricks in the night. The eyes see what is not there." She told them they must go and make up the time lost in Baerlon. She wished the Drakkar was elsewhere and that the Myrddril were truly blind, but with luck they may get ahead of them. They rode eastward, a fast walk to preserve the horses, until an hour later Mat cried out. He gestured back at Baerlon, pointing out smoke and fire. Moraine sadly said that she'd warned him, but he wouldn't take it seriously. Perrin asked if she meant it's the Stag and Lion on fire. Tom remarked that it's a stretch of coincidence to think otherwise. Lan called it luck from the light, making Egwene turn on him angrily, that Master Fitch's inn is burning and people may be hurt. Moraine said that the inn's attack may mean their exit wasn't noticed by the shadow. "Unless that's what the Fade wants them to think," added Lan. When the pair insisted they move on, Nynaeve rounded on the Aes Sedai and said that they need to go back to help. People will be hurt. Fitch just lost his livelihood and it's her fault. How can she be so calm and walk away without sparing a thought? Lang pointed at the boys and angrily told her, "Because of those 3. The fire, the injured, and all the goings-on. The fact the price must be paid is proof that it's worth paying. The Dark One wants those boys of yours, and anything he wants this badly must be kept from him. Or would you rather let the Fade have them?" Moraine told him to be at ease, then told Nynaeve, "You think I can help Master Fitch and the people at the inn? Well, you're right, I can help, but not without attracting attention they'll not thank me for, such as the White Cloaks. Not without leaving the boys with only Lan for protection. He's good, but if a murderer or a fist of Trollocs find you, he won't be enough. We could all return, but I doubt I can get us back in unnoticed, and expose you all to those who set the fire and the White Cloaks. If you were me, Wisdom, what would you do?" Nynaeve stubbornly said that she'd do something, so Moraine continued, "Then you'd probably hand the Dark One his victory. Remember who he wants. We're at war, even though there's only 8 of us. I will have untraceable gold sent to Master Fitch to rebuild and help anyone hurt." She signalled to Lan and they moved off as Rand hoped that Min was all right. They made a quick camp at dawn for an hour's rest. Matt whispered, "I thought we were finally safe. No sign of pursuit, walls all around us, then that dream and a fade. Are we ever going to be safe again?" Rand said not until they're in Tar Valon, but Perrin wondered if they'd even be safe there. They rode off as the sun rose, bleary-eyed, and Lan now back in his colour-shifting cloak, scanning the area for possible ambush. Thanks for listening. Please like, share and subscribe and help get a new channel off the ground. Thank you.